All right, guys, welcome back to another video. And it looks like it's just another daily update of layoffs going on across the industry. We are seeing a very turbulent time here in the gaming industry with layoffs and shrinkage, games being canceled, studios being closed across the board. I mean, we heard about Sony's yesterday. We have a small update from that from Insomniac Games. And now we have another major piece of news when it comes to layoffs from one of the biggest publishers out there, and that is Electronic Arts. They have said that they are going to be laying off about 5% of their workforce. And they previously, as of March 2023, had 13,400 employees, which would mean they are cutting around 670 jobs. And EA's CEO, Andrew Wilson, wrote a letter to employees. And here is what he says. Given how and where we are working, we are continuing to optimize our global real estate footprint to best support our business. We are also sunsetting games and moving away from development of future licensed IP that we do not believe will be successful in our changing industry. This greater focus allows us to drive creativity, accelerate innovation, and double down on our biggest opportunities, including our owned IP, sports, and massive online communities to deliver the entertainment players want today and tomorrow. So that's pretty big. I mean, we also have updates of games that have been canceled. A game that we just recently talked about that we had heard was in the works, specifically the Mandalorian first-person shooter. That looks like that game has been canceled. We have a couple of updates here. First of all, this one says Star Wars FPS can. Sources have told VGC that as a part of the cuts, EA has canceled an in-development Star Wars first-person shooter at Respawn. Now, we don't actually know if that game was the Mandalorian game, but that's what the leak had come out saying that it was. But this was nothing that was officially confirmed by EA. But I was really excited when we first heard this because, I mean, the Mandalorian franchise is awesome. You have Respawn, who I don't think has really ever missed on a game that they have put out, especially when you look at their first-person shooters, games like Titanfall and Apex Legends. Very, very good first-person shooters, taking those mechanics, taking what they know and the skills that they have for making first-person shooters and putting it towards a Mandalorian game would have been absolutely incredible. The movement, the gunplay, the storytelling, all of those things put together in a game here by Respawn, I think would have been really awesome. And apparently that has now been canceled, which is completely unfortunate. And they also say that announced in 2022, the FPS was being helmed by former LucasArts veteran and Medal of Honor co-creator Peter Hirschman, who previously worked on the original Battlefront games, The Force Unleashed, and more. So again, some pedigree behind that would have been great. Now, they are also confirming here that EA Entertainment President Laura Miele has confirmed the cancellation of the Star Wars FPS, saying Respawn's unique ability to connect with players and create exceptional game experiences is unrivaled in entertainment. As we've looked at Respawn's portfolio over the last few months, what's clear is the games our players are most excited about are Jedi and Respawn's rich library of owned brands. Knowing this, we have decided to pivot away from early development on a Star Wars FPS action game to focus our efforts on new projects based on our own brands while providing support for existing games. It's always hard to walk away from a project, and this decision is not a reflection of the team's talent, tenacity, or passion they have for the game. Giving fans the next installments of the iconic franchises they want is the definition of blockbuster storytelling and the right place to focus. So with that quote there, that calls into question, are we now finally going to be getting a Titanfall 3? Does the cancellation of the Star Wars FPS, the Mandalorian game that it is rumored, does that give us a Titanfall 3? I wonder how people will react to that if that is the case, because I think bringing out a Titanfall 3 would be a no-brainer at this point. People have been wanting it, and I think it will do far better than Titanfall 2. The biggest issue with Titanfall 2, in my opinion, when it released was where it released. It was sandwiched in between Battlefield and Call of Duty, and it's really hard to compete against those very established IPs, especially if you're an FPS trying to become a competitor to those. Yes, the first Titanfall was great too, but that was only multiplayer. Titanfall 2 launched with an absolutely incredible single player campaign and then really fun multiplayer. And anybody who jumped into Titanfall 2 could see that it was a great game, but people just passed up on it, skipped it because of the Call of Duties and the Battlefields out there. But now is the time to bring it back, and I think it would do decently well. So if that's what they're hitting at here, then that I think is a positive out of this in terms of the games that will be coming out from EA. And they mentioned that they want to move away from the licensed IPs, and this is kind of reminiscent of what's happening at PlayStation and Insomniac with games like Spider-Man 2, with over 300 million in development costs for those games. A lot of that probably has to do with the fact that they have to pay Disney a large cut of royalties for the IP itself, for the sales, and all of those things that just skyrocket the actual development costs, especially as these budgets are getting bigger and bigger. And to me, it's sounding like this industry is going to be going back towards looking at what they have within their portfolio and potentially giving us smaller, more just fun games and gameplay. If that's what this all ends up being after the shrinkage occurs, that will end up being a more positive industry, in my opinion, for the games that we get. But of course, there's going to be a lot of casualties here from people that do get laid off, which is the unfortunate part about this, because the reality, as I said in my video yesterday, this isn't their fault whatsoever. This is the fault of bad management, CEOs being greedy, expanding way too fast, spending so much money, especially over the pandemic, because they saw all of the dollar signs in front of them. And of course, the people who are lower down in the organization pay for all of that mismanagement. Now, there's also another update here for that studio that did open up back in 2021 that was working on the narrative campaign for Battlefield, and it was Ridgeline Games. Apparently EA here is closing Ridgeline Games, saying EA has closed Ridgeline Games, a studio formed in 2021 to work on a future Battlefield single player game. They were working on a debut project described as a narrative campaign in the Battlefield universe, and just last week the actual co-founder, the Halo co-creator Marcus Leto, had departed the company apparently for personal reasons, and now just a week later the entire studio does close down. So that's just another major part of these EA layoffs. And they also say here, lastly, we are streamlining our company's operations to deliver deeper, more connected experiences for fans everywhere that build community, shape culture, and grow fandom. So who knows what this means for EA, other than you can just take what they said and that's what you have to look forward to. They're not going to do any more licensed games. They're going to be focusing on their sports games. And it looks like they are going to be focusing on IPs that they own and building out these larger communities. Does this mean all games as a service, or does this mean that we're going to get some more single player creative stuff out of them with IPs that they create and already own? We'll have to wait and see. But again, it's just a sad day in the gaming industry when it does come to layoffs. And that wasn't the only one. Star Citizen developer Cloud Imperium has restructured as well. There were some people on LinkedIn that said they had lost their job, and then Cloud Imperium actually made a statement here to VGC saying that a move to co-locate as much development as possible has led to a small number of jobs being lost. As a part of our normal processes, we regularly look for ways to make our operations more efficient, which can include restructuring in order to place a position closer to the team it supports. Now that we are back in office and seeing the progress and quality of work when our teams are in person working together, we have decided to co-locate as much development as possible, which has resulted in some minor staffing changes as we move some development positions closer to their core teams. As a result of this consolidation, a small number of positions were eliminated, and we continue to recruit for key roles within the company. So I guess take that for what you will, but you could have people here saying, I've been laid off after 8.5 years. It was the Cloud Imperium QA manager. A senior QA analyst said that he was leaving the company on good terms, though, and said I would have liked to continue working with them. People are just posting their stories about being laid off here from Cloud Imperium. So again, another set of layoffs that have hit. And we also have some more layoffs here from Deck 9 Games, who is known for the game The Expanse. They say, like many others in the games industry right now, Deck 9 has been affected by the games industry worsening market conditions. Today, we made the difficult decision to lay off 20% of our staff. These people are amazing, talented, and awesome developers. They have made a huge impact during their time at Deck 9 Games, and we did not take this decision lightly. Please hire these people if you can. They're amazing. So more layoffs. I mean, this is going to be an ongoing story for the rest of the year until eventually it does end up stopping. But that's all from today in terms of some newer layoffs that have happened. But we also now have a statement from Insomniac when it comes to how they were affected with the layoffs from PlayStation the other day. And here's what Insomniac says. They say, like several other teams across SIE and PlayStation Studios, Insomniac Games was impacted by yesterday's layoffs. There are no sufficient words to express our feelings about it. This is a solemn and unprecedented moment for our studio. We are focusing our energy on helping everyone affected through this challenging time. For those who are hiring, they are great people seeking new roles who made important contributions to Insomniac's history. We're extremely grateful for them, and they will be missed. So they put that out there after them being affected again by those 900 layoffs from PlayStation, which also led to a bunch of games being canceled, live service games being canceled. We don't know the whole slate of stuff that was canceled because a lot of the games just weren't announced. But it is going to be a huge change here going forward for PlayStation on what they focus on. What makes me start really thinking about is PlayStation. They're trying to increase those margins. They're really going to just be doubling and tripling down on the safe stuff, the remakes and the remasters, stuff that costs less to make that they know will sell. So I expect a lot more remakes and remasters coming out of PlayStation Studios, and hopefully a couple. Still, they're working on some live service games or multiplayer games at the very least that hopefully will be fun and interesting and give a new take out of the PlayStation Studios. Because if you think about PlayStation Studios in PS2, PS3, and just some of the stuff that they put out, a lot of the create stuff like Where's Resistance, where is Infamous, where are the Sly Coopers, like just so many great games that they could be making that I don't think this is going to take even longer now with the way that the industry is going to see those types of games. Okay, let's jump over here. Let's talk about the cash cow that has now officially been announced for a release date that is going to be coming from Xbox and Activision. And that is Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. This is going to be a money printing machine for them, and probably one of the biggest reasons why they went out and purchased Activision was for this game and for games like this on the mobile platform, where that's where they see their biggest opportunity for growth. And with how popular Call of Duty is, how popular Warzone is, this thing is going to be huge on mobile devices, coming to the Apple Store and to Google Play. It's Call of Duty Warzone Mobile, which is releasing worldwide on March 21st, 2024. There is a launch date reveal trailer that you can go and check out. There are some pre-registration rewards that you're going to be able to claim. If you pre-register for the game, you'll get them at launch. And they just talk about being able to level up anywhere, the graphics, the maps, and everything like that. So this is going to be a massive release here. Even though it is on mobile, people will end up playing this with controllers, emulated on their PC and things like that. So it'll be one of the things that Xbox will be very happy that they have now with the purchase of Activision Blizzard. All right, jumping over here to talk about quickly a major success for a game that launched day one into Xbox Game Pass, and that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They put out some numbers here, and they say that they have sold 1.1 million units of the game. They've had 4.5 million players on Xbox Game Pass and 5.6 million players in a total, which I think is a very big success for this game. It is definitely a smaller multiplayer game, has some good scares and some good laughs as you're kind of going through and playing it with your friends. But 4.5 million players on Xbox Game Pass is a big number that I think a lot of other developers will look at this and think, if we can get this game out in front of a ton of people, there's a higher chance that we can convert them into playing the game for a long time, or even going out and making a purchase on top of playing it into Xbox Game Pass. That's one thing that we do see with Game Pass, is people try games out and then they eventually go out and purchase them and add them to their library, knowing that Game Pass is a revolving door. Games don't stay in there forever. So it would be interesting to know if out of those 4.5 million players on Game Pass, how many of them actually contributed to that 1.1 million units sold. I feel like those are numbers that Xbox presents to these developers when they're going out there and trying to get their games into Xbox Game Pass. Of course, also the bag of money that they do offer them is almost a no-brainer for a game like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is an online multiplayer game. You want to put it into Game Pass, but at the same time, if there are some devs and publishers out there that are on the fence whether they would want to take a Game Pass deal, that's the type of stuff that I think would attract them over. So congrats to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's pretty good here for that game. All right, let's talk about this quickly. Remedy Entertainment has now gained control of the Control franchise from 505 Games. It says here, developer Remedy Entertainment has acquired the full publishing and marketing rights to his 2019 game Control and all upcoming titles in the franchise from publisher 505 Games. As a part of the deal, Remedy Entertainment is paying 505 Games roughly $8,500,000 US dollars, and this amount covers the money 505 Game has invested in the upcoming titles Control 2 and Condor, as well as a small premium. So Remedy is successful, especially after a game like Alan Wake 2 that did very well. We're not seeing any layoffs from them, and hopefully there won't be any coming down the line, but they have been very successful. They're making money, they're growing. They went out here and bought Control. And what does this mean for Control fans? Because that is the question. Will this mean that we're getting a Control 2 soon? It says in the short to midterm, nothing will really be changing here. In the long run, Control 2 and Condor project will have a new publisher. While Remedy is evaluating different partners, the most likely candidate is Epic Games, the publisher of Alan Wake Remastered and Alan Wake 2. So I guess nothing really changes here, but other than Remedy having full control over the IP and who's going to publish it and sell the game. It would make sense with how successful Alan Wake 2 was to kind of go back to Epic for that. And speaking of Epic Games, there is a hacker group that is claiming they have nearly 200 gigabytes of Epic Games internal data. It says here, a ransomware gang claims to have hacked Epic Games, saying it has nearly 200 gigabits of internal data. It was reported by Cyber Daily. The gang, which goes by the name Moglovich, posted a message on its darknet leak site giving more information on its claimed leak of the Fortnite and Epic Games Store company. They say, we have quietly carried out an attack on Epic Games servers. Claims to have compromised a bunch of information here, up to 189 gigabytes of data. They are saying the data is for sale. Now, Epic Games has responded to this, saying, we are investigating, but there's currently zero evidence that these claims are legitimate. Moglovich has not contacted Epic or provided any proof of the veracity of these allegations. When we saw these allegations, which were a screenshot of a dark web page and a tweet from a third party, we began investigating within minutes and reached out to Moglovich for proof. Moglovich has not responded. The closest thing we have seen to a response is this tweet where they allegedly asked for $15K in proof of funds to hand over the purported data. So I guess we will have to wait and see in the next coming days or weeks if this is true or not. I mean, this is kind of what happened with Insomniac, where we weren't sure if it was true, and then obviously that did end up being true. But as of right now, according to Epic Games themselves, there is no evidence that there was this huge attack on their servers with the 189 gigabytes of information that apparently was stolen. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.